I'm back in the saddle. I'm back from HQC 2022, also known as ToyotaCon in my books. But we have so much news to cover from the Asian automakers today, and we're going to start with Toyota potentially having a sub-Tacoma sized pickup truck. So we're going to start with a tiny pickup truck from Toyota, but we also have a lot of other news with Panasonic making batteries in America, and we'll also talk about sales from the manufacturers for this past month, which is a nightmare. So let's start with something really, really exciting here. Toyota mulling a compact pickup truck, but there's a catch. So we're automotive news here, and yes, we know that there is a market for are they compact pickup trucks, subcompact pickup trucks at this point? They're based off of unibody platform vehicles. And those are the incredible selling Ford Maverick and Hyundai Santa Cruz. If you haven't seen my Santa Cruz driving impressions in the redwoods of California, make sure to check that out. Between the two pickup trucks, they have already sold 50,000 sales so far this year through May. Speaking with Jack Hollis, which is Toyota's Senior Vice President of Automotive Operations, he's saying there is space in the Toyota lineup for a pickup underneath the Tacoma. Jack Hollis introduced the Toyota ABAT concept unibody pickup truck at the 2008 Detroit Auto Show. He told Automotive News this past week, well, I was there, but I wasn't there for that particular interview with him, but that they continue to look at the small truck segment that Ford and Hyundai are occupying. And they've continued to look at it for a long time. He said the redesigned Tacoma due in dealerships next year. There you go, guys. There's official confirmation. You heard it from the horse's mouth. Yes, new Tacoma coming next year. So make sure stay tuned on the channel because I will give you guys every drop of information along the way. It is not going to get longer. And even as it follows the Tundra full-size pickup truck and Sequoia large SUV onto Toyota's new global F1 body frame platform. So could this vehicle have a body on frame? Absolutely not. I don't think it could scale that small. It would be too costly. So what could they? Well, let's just see what Ford and Hyundai is doing with their compact crossover pickup trucks. What's mind-blowing, the shortest 2022 Tacoma is nearly 34 inches longer than the longest 2000 Tacoma. Guys, Tacoma is about 3 feet longer than it was 2 decades ago. And the current generation is 9 inches taller than that earlier iteration. And get on over to Cooper Erickson, who is the one responsible for the lovely IS 500. Yes, he brought the V8 back into the IS. You can thank him for it. And he says that Tacoma has been amazingly successful. They've reached a point where we can't get bigger because of garageability. You can't fit the Tacoma in a garage if it gets any bigger. Cooper said his team is actively looking into trucks smaller than Tacoma for Toyota's lineup, where a new unibody pickup, perhaps based on the new Corolla Cross subcompact crossover, might compete directly with the Maverick or Santa Cruz. So I don't know if Cooper said it could potentially be on the Corolla Cross's platform, but I think there's a lot of room there for the Corolla Cross to have a pickup. It would be, I guess, what would it be called? The Corolla pickup? And we have the Corolla Cross, the GR Corolla, Corolla Hatch. So could it be a new entry into the Corolla lineup? A possibility. If we look at the plant where it's built, Huntsville, Alabama, brand new plant, went online this past year when they started building the Corolla Cross there. They have production capacity to produce 150,000 Corolla Crosses or just any Toyotas out of that factory. The other half of the factory is for Mazda and the CX-50. Toyota is not at capacity for the Corolla Cross at that plant in Huntsville, Alabama. So they could, I guess, allocate some of that 150,000 production volume to a Corolla Cross modified into a pickup truck. If you look at the Santa Cruz from Hyundai, that seems a little bit bigger because it's based off of the larger Tucson, which Tucson's more of a RAV4 competitor. So if it is based off of the Corolla Cross, then it would be likely smaller than the Santa Cruz. But again, the C platform is modifiable just like the K platform is modifiable for Toyota. So they could stretch things out a little bit. It would be interesting to see, but more than likely, that makes the most sense coming from that plant in Alabama. Cooper says it's undeniable that those products have a place in the market, and how big is that segment going to get? He doesn't know, but it's something that we need to be looking at and figuring out if it's an area we need to play in. I think they should, and I've been asking for this vehicle for a long time. Since the Tacoma is no longer a small pickup truck, it is a very big pickup truck. And every time I see an older Tacoma, like my neighbors, I just get, giddy inside. It makes me happy. A small, flickable, easy to throw in off-road situations because it's so small. Just want that sort of pickup truck from Toyota. Now, it wouldn't be body on frame. Would that ruin its durability? Would that ruin its off-road capability? I wouldn't think entirely. It would be less capable in some ways for sure than a tiny body on frame pickup truck, but it's better than nothing. I think a lot of people would die to have a Toyota hybrid system, just like the Maverick front wheel drive. But Toyota would, of course, give it all wheel drive, maybe even standard like they do in a lot of their Lexus crossover hybrids. And talking about regulations and pickup trucks and fuel economy and things like that, Cooper says the incentive for automakers to boost the footprint of their light trucks is kind of a strange situation. It's not the best thing for the environment, but it's the best thing if your company happens to sell really big trucks. Because how the regulations work is the longer the wheels are further apart from each other, the less strict regulations you need for fuel economy. He said for Toyota to jump back into compact pickups, any entry would have to be bigger than the small Toyota pickup trucks in the 1980s or 90s, including Cooper's own 1982 Toyota 4x4. He says we don't need something that small. We probably need something a little bit more spacious on the inside, more of an SUV with a bed concept. So it's really dialing it in. And the more that Ford sells, frankly, the more the Hyundai sells, the more we'll be able to get good research on who these customers are, why they want this vehicle, and we'll see if that's the space we want to enter into. So before we head into the next article, guys, would you want another Toyota pickup truck? I think the answer is yes. Otherwise, you probably wouldn't be watching this video. But the Tacoma is just huge nowadays compared to what it used to be. And this new pickup truck coming out, it wouldn't be as small as Cooper saying old Tacomas and old Toyota 4x4s. If we have something that's smaller than the Tacoma, gets like 40 miles per gallon like the Maverick and all-wheel drive, I think Toyota would have a home run on their hand, and that market segment is really, really hot. But anyways, let's move on to the next article here because I'm about hybrids from Toyota. A lot of them use Panasonic joint venture batteries with Toyota. And Panasonic is planning a massive North America EV battery buildup, and the company is targeting a local procure rate of 50%. And this would triple their electric vehicle battery production capacity in North America through 2029 and supply new customers. So they supply Tesla, they supply Toyota and Lexus. Outside of that, I really don't know. I mean, it wouldn't be hard to imagine Mazda because we know Mazda said they're going to be using Toyota's hybrid system technology for their CX-50 hybrid that we mentioned earlier in this video. The Japanese manufacturers make the most sense for them to assist with, Subaru being another one, especially since 20% of Subaru is owned by Toyota. Panasonic, which makes batteries for Tesla, will commercialize its next generation 4680 cylindrical lithium ion batteries for Tesla and potentially other auto companies in the fiscal year ending in March 31st, 2024. So Tesla will be the first ones to market with these batteries, but it won't be long before Panasonic is giving them to the competition here. The 4680 batteries will originally be produced in West Japan in the Wakayama factory, and they're scouring North American sites. Guys, and you have to remember SK Innovations is building battery factories. Hyundai's building a new battery factory. You also have LG Chem, Samsung. So all the Koreans are playing hard with new battery factories already. And I've been wondering what's Panasonic doing? Go figure. The Japanese are a little bit more calculated, a little bit more cautious when it comes to its competition at least here in North America. They could triple or quadruple by 2029. And new customers are currently evaluating the 4680 battery. So yes, competition is looking into it. Tesla not going to have those 4680s all to your lonesome. Panasonic is expecting 30% of global new vehicle sales to be EVs in 2030, representing about 35 million vehicles. It's interesting. In so many parts of the world, they're saying, oh, 2030, fully electric vehicles or half electric vehicles is what our administration has said by 2030. And Panasonic, creator of batteries that go into EVs, is saying, no, it's going to be about a third is going to be full EVs by 2030. And that kind of aligns with Toyota's product breakdown. By 2030, they'll have 3.5 million EVs sold per year, and they sell about 10 million EVs. So it's about a third. So I think Panasonic and Toyota's vision is very similar on EV saturating the market. All right, lastly, I'm not going to go into this too long because this video is already pretty lengthy. So the market loses steam and SAAR tumbles to 2022 low. So we're going to talk about the sales at a snapshot here for the industry, and it is a nightmare. Things are going really bad, and at this point, I think we've hit the low. I think things are only going to slightly get better from here on out compared to last year, but we will see. We'll start with Ford and work our way down, even though I don't cover some of the companies on this list. So Ford is only down 4.3% in the month of May. They've done a hell of a job. I don't know what they're doing. Maybe, well, you also have to realize they got crimped pretty early in 2021 with production, while a lot of its competition got crimped later in the year. So that could be what's going on. And as a total, Ford and Lincoln down 13% for the year so far. Acura and Honda have been getting their asses kicked since late last year, but it just continues and it's getting worse, it seems like. Don't know what's going on with their product supply other than it seems to be worse than just about everyone else. Acura is almost losing to Genesis when it comes to sales volume right now. They're roughly 2,000 units apart, which is nothing. Acura is easily able to sell 20,000 units a month, and they're just nowhere close to it right now. Down 64% on the month, down 37% on the year. Honda, though, not doing much better, down 56% on the month of May. It's just really hard to see. If you combine Acura and Honda, down 57% on the month and 36% on the year. Genesis, though, such a small company, but gets those chips allocated to them from Hyundai because they have really high profit margins on their vehicles. And you have to realize Genesis and Hyundai's supply chain is a little bit different, a little bit more exclusive to the Korean market and suppliers. So they're in a different ecosystem altogether, and that could be why they're faring a little bit different. When you look at the year so far, they're down Hyundai Kia combined for the year, only down 13%. So Ford's right there with them. Honda's nowhere close. Mazda's having a tough time now. Finally, they were kind of like being an outlier, doing really, really well in the market, and it finally caught up to them. We'll talk about them in a second. Hyundai doing better this year compared to Subaru, even better than Toyota, better than Volvo. So very impressive what Hyundai's able to do overall, but it's catching up to them. For some reason, this month has been really hard for them. 34% down for Hyundai, and Kia down almost 30% if you round up as well. Heading down to Mazda, something catastrophic has happened. They were selling over 40,000 units in last year's May, and they only sold 15,000 units this May. I really don't have an answer for you guys on this one, just like I don't on Honda or Acura. But down 64% roughly, kind of like Acura is only selling a fraction of what they were a year ago. But for the whole year, they're down 18%. But this 64% down does not help in the month of May. Subaru, the one who's been struggling, most consistently struggling throughout the past year or so compared to the Japanese rivals they have, is staying pretty steady here, surprisingly, down about 25%, and for the year they're down 20%. So I think Subaru's already hit that bottom for a long time, and they're just kind of riding that. So we're not going to see things get much worse than this for Subaru, I don't think. Lexus and Toyota, I think this is also the worst for them, and I think things will bounce back quite heavily at this point. Even though they're both down about 27%, Toyota and Lexus on the year, it's 17 to 20%, depending on the brand. Volvo had a really good year in 2021. Last month, down 29% and down 18% on the year. So not doing too bad compared to the rest of the competition here. And at this point, I think it's interesting to see what's going to happen in June because the market gets hotter in June. Well, literally and figuratively, summer comes along and people like to go shop for new cars when it comes to summer. Kids are out of school, you have more time, and maybe you're going on road trips. Well, maybe not with gas prices. Lovely, right? So if the car market doesn't bounce back from what we see here next month or this month in June, I'm not going to have really high hopes for the remainder of the year. I think it has to start recovering this month, or the auto market is just going to be really hard for me to cover. at least in a positive light, because it's just going to be rain clouds and thunderstorms when it comes to sales numbers anyway. So, anyways, I'm going to end it there. I'm expecting next month to have a rebound, but what do you guys think? I'll see you in the comments below. If you made it this far into the video, thank you so much. I have so much news I need to catch up on, and I'm really tired still, but it is what it is. I'll get it to you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe for more Japanese and Korean auto news and reviews. Take care. Have a good day.